I'm Tass Mellis of The Starters.
This is Ben Golliver with the Open Floor Podcast.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ludlow from NBA Inside Stuff.
I'm OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors.
Hey, I'm Elena Donan, and welcome to the Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch Podcast.
Hey, and welcome to the Double Clutch Podcast. I'm Josh Coyne, recording fresh off a trip to Los Angeles with the team behind NBA2K20, where myself, Mike Miller, and several other members of the NBA in the UK community had the chance to play NBA2K20 before almost anybody else on Earth. Joining us at the event were Ronnie 2K himself, the singer J Balvin, The Game, Offset, and many other notable famouses. But most importantly, we were joined by the team behind the game. And off the back of our NBA 2K discussion with JD Crossover, we want to share with you some of the conversations we managed to capture with the developers themselves. So, to kick off, I spoke to Erick Boenisch, who works as senior producer of the NBA 2K series, and I focused primarily on the addition of the WNBA on this year's installment. So, for me, I covered the WNBA in the UK, as well as the NBA itself. So, it's rising in popularity, and was a large part of the decision-making, the fact that it will open up a whole new world of basketball for a generation of fans.
For us, for the NBA 2K franchise, we're always looking for new ways to grow the franchise, whether that be, making our gameplay tighter, whether that be improving the My Career mode. This year, we really had the opportunity to implement the WNBA into the game, as you know. And the really important thing about adding the WNBA that I want everyone to understand is we didn't just take, the 12 teams, the 140 players, and put them into NBA 2K. That would be very incorrect. It would be disrespectful because, while it is still basketball, the WNBA is played very differently than the NBA. And I want everyone to understand that we added, all new skeleton rigs for the female players. They have their own animation sets. They have their own movement models. Everything looks and feels like the WNBA, and that's something I think, that Mike Wang and our gameplay team did an incredible job on. And it's just really, like I said, it's really important to me that people know we didn't just, make this happen. We spent a lot of time making the WNBA, and that's very important to the development team.
Yeah, the dynamic feels different to the NBA, the men's game on 2K, and I feel like it's a really good representation of the playing style of women's basketball. But speaking of the word representation, do you feel as though the inclusion of a WNBA is like a big step in terms of representation of female athletes in kind of mainstream media?
Absolutely, and we, like I said, we didn't just add them to the game. We kind of went all in. We wanted the game to look and feel exactly as it does, when you watch it on TV. In addition to just being able to play with them, we actually have a WNBA season mode in the game this year. If you select My League from the main menu of the game, you'll see WNBA season in there. You can play a full season with your favorite team. You can trade players amongst teams. You can mess with the lineups. You can change the player ratings. You can edit the players. It's a really cool experience that I think, we all got done in 1 year. Just adding like a new, I don't want to call it a new sport, but for us it's a different game of basketball. Being able to do that in the same year that we also added like a full season mode is really cool. I think anyone who loves the NBA is going to love this, and anyone who's curious about it will actually enjoy it once they play it and start to see the strategies are a little different than you may be familiar with in the actual NBA.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to really open some eyes in terms of a new generation of WNBA fans. I feel like it was very important. Did you feel as though it was very important that the first time this has really been done, it was kind of make or break in terms of the introduction of women's basketball and gaming?
I don't think it was make or break, but it was super important to our team that we represent, the WNBA as accurately as possible. So I don't know if I'd use the word make or break, but out of pride for us and respect for them, we wanted to make the game as authentic as it could possibly be, and I think the team hit that in stride.
And a large part of the kind of launch of NBA games, NBA 2K games, is player ratings. And I know that players do generally get highly involved in their rating. They look forward to it. Sometimes they debate it. Sometimes they kind of boast about it.
Yeah.
Was it the same case with the female athletes?
I think the female athletes were a little more understanding. They were excited. Most of them were excited because they've had sneak peeks of the game. They know what it looks like, and so they're excited at our representation of them. So they're very excited to learn what they are. A lot of the NBA players think they're the best player in the league, and they all think they should be rated higher, which I absolutely love to hear. But no, the WNBA player reaction has been incredible. Like, they're very excited to see the ratings, and they're just super proud that, the NBA 2K franchise included them to the level that we did, and we're just as proud of them for everything they've accomplished as well.
And now that the WNBA has actually been introduced to the game, what's next?
Boy, you're asking me what's in next year's game? That's a tough question. We always huddle as a team and start working on next year's game as soon as this year's game is shipped. However, NBA 2K20 is not done yet. We still have a couple weeks. It doesn't launch until September 6th. So the full focus for us right now is finishing NBA 2K20, making it the best game it can be, and then we worry about what's next after that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Regular voice of Double Clutch, Mike Miller, had the chance to connect with Mike Wang, NBA 2K's gameplay director.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Mike Miller, and I'm joined, of course, by Mike Wang, Senior Dev for 2K. Can you, for the people watching, just tell us a bit about what your role entails?
Yep, I am the gameplay director for NBA 2K. So we're in charge of basically all the on-court gameplay.
Okay.
And some other stuff too, like basically gameplay within the game. So
okay,
that's us.
So you wrote the huge blog piece recently about all the different improvements, we'll call them, like just where it's moved on from the last iteration of the game. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite one?
Ooh, that's hard. It's hard for me to choose. It's like choosing my favorite baby. I gravitate toward dribbling.
Okay.
That's something I personally get my hands into a lot more. But the motion engine upgrade was the big one I talked about, and that's basically us taking what we started 2 years ago and bringing it to a lot closer to where I think we want it to be. And that's just having more realistic movement, foot planting, momentum, having the differentiation of players be more accurate to real life. The stops and goes, the hesitations, and just the change of speed that the NBA really has.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of where we went with it.
So one of the things that I notice is that every year we pick up the game, and every year we go, "Whoa, it feels so different. It feels closer, more real, better, closer to the real thing."
Yeah.
How do you keep, for a cyclical game where this is it? Like, how do you keep improving it?
Well, for one thing, I don't think we're there yet. So our target is much higher than I think maybe most people have. And so we're I think we're our biggest critics, and we're always kind of aiming for the sky, and we're always moving closer. And I think it's one of those things where, because we see the game every day, and we see these kind of small improvements from day to day, maybe it looks like a bigger jump to the consumer because they see NBA 2K19 and now NBA 2K20, and so it's a huge jump. But for us, it's just like baby steps toward a larger goal, and so we're just always striving for that.
So what is the larger goal?
For me, even when I came in the industry, then this is like 12, 13 years ago. I actually longer now, like 15 years ago. The goal was to be able to play a game and have it be completely indiscernible whether that was a real game on TV or a video game. And so we're moving closer and closer in that direction, but we still have a ways to go. Well,
it's definitely leapt that way. I was talking with someone earlier who had the same, not same problem, where their other halves are just sort of peeking over the shoulders going, "Oh, what game are you watching?" You're like, "No, not watching, playing."
Yeah.
And so you're there. Obviously it goes with how the tech develops and things like that.
Sure.
You mentioned dribbling earlier. How, motion capture, things like that, is how big a role does that play in getting this sort of realistic dribble?
It's huge. It's kind of, we look at it as like the first step toward more realism, because if you don't capture the athletes as accurately or as realistically as possible and get like the full energy and the exertion and we call it game speed, do everything game speed. If it's not there, then it all comes through kind of lackluster in the game. So for us, that's paramount, that we get the best athletes we can in the studio, and we get them in that mindset of playing real basketball and playing as hard as they can every minute.
So are they fun? I don't know what the word would be, but like the way that you have those sessions, obviously with the motion capture, are they fun to be part of? Getting the NBA players getting involved. We see I think we saw the dunk highlight reel of the motion captures early in the summer, and it looked ridiculous. How much fun are they?
Probably some of the most fun days of the year. Yeah, so we go into motion capture probably every month for sure. Okay. Usually 2-3 days a month, maybe 4 days a month. Depends on schedule. But my favorites are absolutely capturing like NBA athletes, and they usually, since they're in the season, usually we gotta wait till like toward the end of our dev cycle when season's over and they're done with the playoffs, so we can bring them in. But other than that, we have like stellar like athletes who've played overseas or ex-college players who fill the gap for us too. And so we're constantly bringing in new athletes and new talent, and that's, like I said, it's where it starts. You get the best talent, and they play hard, and that's where we can build our library of animations and make it look right.
And obviously, launch date, September 6th. How soon after that are you going to be 2K21? This is what we're doing, this is what we're working on. Is it straight away?
It's actually probably before. So we actually start talking about it in August sometimes. And some part of the team is actually working toward larger goals. They're working toward things that may not see the light of day till 2K22 or 23. Yeah. So a portion of our team's already thinking long term. But for the majority of our gameplay team, we are heads down, focused on the current one. So we'll be on 2K20, and we'll continue to support 2K20 for several months after we're shipped. But we start talking about the next game. Like, we've already started talking about it. So yeah, awesome. It doesn't stop. It just kind of keeps going.
So what, on a year-to-year basis then, what is there anything in particular that jumps out? Is there something where you go, okay, maybe that wasn't as good as we wanted it, so we want to focus on that? Or is there just something in general where it's each year improve X, Y, Z, or is it site specific aspects of the game? It
depends. Like, sometimes it's like it's having a higher goal, kind of a pillar for the year, and this is where we want to improve control, or we want to improve, like, I don't know, the balance between offense and defense, like kind of the counterbalance there. But a lot of times we have, I have a team of excellent producers and engineers, and we all kind of own different areas of gameplay. And so I think in our own little mini bubbles, we're always constantly trying to move forward. How do we push that forward? How do we move it forward? And so a lot of times it's thinking of like a high-level goal we're going to attack for a year. A lot of times it's like we're just going to keep improving, and then we'll get to the point where, okay, this is the game, we have to kind of lock it down, we'll kind of stamp it and say this is where we're at for 2K20, for example, and then the improvements that we want to continue to push forward might be next year.
Sure.
So that's how gameplay is, and we kind of evolve that way. We're just kind of always pushing toward better gameplay. And there are some things that are like, here's a thing, and we want to get this done for the year, and so it's more of a more packaged deal.
So Eric was saying that some of the days are quite long, sort of 18-hour days to get over the line.
Yeah.
Can you still step away from being a developer, and do you play 2K as like a gamer still? Just kick it back and play it, or you always develop the mind on? Or
I don't know if it's possible to turn off the developer mind, but part of my process, and this has been since I got in the industry, and probably why I don't know why I love gameplay so much, is that I tried it. What I try to do is I'll spend the day working on the game, and that's making tweaks and just adding features, changing things, and grabbing everyone else's changes from my engineers and my other producers. And then at night, what I try to do is kind of just step back and just play as if I was a consumer.
Yeah.
And how would I feel about how the game is right today, and what needs to be tweaked and changed tomorrow. And so for me, that's the process. So it's I play and I still have fun. I don't feel like it's work. I don't really clock the hours and be like, no. I'm playing the game now. Put on my time card. It's just part of what we do. We love it. It's our passion.
So do you have as a fan then? Do you have a favorite team or player that you go to?
Chicago Bulls. It's been a little tougher in recent years.
Sure.
But historically, that's my team ever since Michael Jordan. So
nice. Yeah. And of course, with guys like Zach LaVine, it must be a fun team to play with.
Absolutely fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love Zach LaVine. We have a good young core. May not win a ton of games, but it's fun. They're fun to play with now, especially with Kobe's there, and we have Wendell and Markkanen. There's a lot of young talent who's really good, and
so
they're fun.
You follow the league closely as well, then. So
yeah.
Basically, your life, apart from sleep, is in some way consumed by basketball. Is that fair to say?
A little bit. Trying to let it consume me. The word sounds so bad, but we're all huge fans of the sport.
Yeah.
And so for us, we had to be. And so for us, if we're not, I don't play as much anymore. I probably play a little, but if we're not playing and we're not working on NBA, then we're watching it. So
perfect.
This is what we do.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, congratulations on the new game. I've just had a hands on. It's brilliant. I loved it. Can't wait to play the full game. But thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Finally, I caught up with senior producer Ben Bishop to discuss the storytelling aspect of NBA 2K20's My Career Mode. Something that I'm really interested in, because there's a lot of guys here who their kind of lifestyle is NBA 2K. We cover the NBA as a whole, and I'm really interested in the narrative side of things. So when it comes to my career, really appreciate the increased focus on the production, the storytelling aspect. So how important for you is it to kind of incrementally improve that side of the game on a year-by-year basis?
Definitely important, and I hope that you get the feeling this year that it's more than incrementally improved. Like, I think we've really taken some big steps, and authenticity is important for us too. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to work with Spring Hill Entertainment. So you may have seen in the trailer at the beginning of the day here, LeBron James and Maverick Carter were executive producers for the narrative experience at the beginning of my career, and in fact they're both in it too. So Maverick plays an advisor to you, and LeBron has a special role I won't say anything about yet, but they're both a part of that too. And so we were able to start working with them early on and kind of lean on their expertise, not just from the basketball side of things, but they're also, Spring Hill is a production company that's worked a lot in film and worked a lot in television, and so they were able to help us kind of take this experience to the next level. So I think hopefully both cinematically and from the authenticity side of things, they really made a difference, and I think that stands out. And there's so many more interesting and kind of intricate behind-the-scenes details than we've had before that I think you'll really notice a difference from this story versus maybe previous years.
Excellent, and obviously a large part of what stood out to me is the massive cast that basically is involved with this. I really feel, obviously you've got Idris Elba, Rosario Dawson and the like, Thomas Middleditch. Could you just take us through the kind of process of how they get involved and from kind of end to end, what their involvement is with it and what you think that actually brings to the game?
Well, certainly I think, again, like going back to Spring Hill, they wanted to sort of take our cinematic experience to the next level, and part of that is having big stars and people who have done it before and people who are recognizable. And so, one of their focuses going in was to try to find some big names that we could work with. And in a lot of cases too, people are interested in working with us because they play the game. And even besides just the big name actors, you'll see we have a lot of NBA stars that make appearances too. Not just current NBA stars, but we have some past NBA stars too, like Scottie Pippen appears early on. And so we really wanted to get you to not only feel like the Hollywood star power, but also the NBA star power too. And they're all part of that experience, and they're all part of that world. And so, trying to tie them all together into one narrative was, I think, a really big piece for us, sort of bringing it to the next level.
So, as we know, every human being and every basketball fan is different. Some people, you may have heard in feedback, some people want more storyline, some people want more of the narrative work. Yeah. Is a large part of kind of the process actually deciding the balance between those two?
It is, and one of the things that's always been important for us is flexibility and trying to do things that will make all types of players happy. And that's one of the reasons why we do have the cinematic experience, but we also have a completely separate online experience in the neighborhood. And if you want to play head-to-head games in the park with other players, you can do that. If you want to focus more on the NBA side of things and working through the storyline, you can do that too. So as we've continued to kind of grow the game over the years, we've tried to add more and more pieces that not just fill out the world, but also give all different types of players sort of a way in a way that they might be able to attach to more than someone else. And then hopefully there's a lot of people too who like all the different parts, and they'll do a little bit of each of them and really get a whole taste of the entire world.
I'm not sure if this is something that you've heard feedback on, but something that I've heard about the game from kind of more intensive players than myself is that last year it may have become more difficult to progress as a player when you're playing in career mode. Is that something that you took on board, and how has it been worked upon?
Yeah, we've made a lot of changes in that area this year. I know that people have thought in the past that it feels like a grind, like too much of a grind, and we definitely wanted to address that. So progression in general is a whole lot faster this year. We want people to get up to those higher ratings much more quickly, and so the ability to do that is there. And I think that people will find that you won't have to feel like it's just like I'm never going to get there. I think you'll get there. You got to put in the time, so there's definitely a work aspect involved, but I think a lot more people will get to those higher rated levels, and I think that just makes for better gameplay, especially when you're talking like head-to-head online. So there's just a lot more opportunities to earn. There's a lot more opportunities to upgrade your character. It'll all happen a lot more quickly, and I think that generally will make people feel like they're more invested right away.
So once again, a lot of it is actually about striking the balance to kind of to appeal to as many players as you possibly can. Okay, well, finally, all I want to say is from when you're about to launch, right at this point, we're here at the Community Day, fantastic event. How long ago did you already start thinking about the next one?
Well, I can tell you right now, we've already started preliminarily talking about the next one. So it's pretty much, it just kind of wraps around on itself. So we're just finishing up 2K20 now, and we're already starting to, plant some seeds for 2K21 and get some things underway for that. And certainly our focus for right now is making this game as good as it can be. But, as you're working on features for the current game, a lot of times they'll end up being things that, this would be really cool, but we don't have the time or the resources to put into it this year, so it's something we just put on the table and sort of set it aside and come back to next year. So there's a lot of seeds that get planted each year, but that's one of the cool things I think about doing an annual sports title is that once we put out one version of the game, we're not just done and moving on to something different. We're already talking about the next one with the same foundation from before, and then we can hopefully come back and add some of those pieces. And then also, I think the second key part of that is hearing, like you were alluding to, what people think about it. What did they like the best? What did they not like the best? What things should we steer away from? What things should we do more of? And so we, take some of the things that we wanted to do and couldn't, and then also try to listen to what the people are saying and, give them as much of what they want as we can too.
So it seems that the old saying of basketball never stops really does apply to NBA 2K.
Absolutely true, yes. It keeps going.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us at Double Clutch UK for the second part of the NBA 2K20 podcast. If you wish to find out more on the game, I answered some user questions over at doubleclutch.uk, where you can find our conversation also with 2K YouTuber JD Crossover. Please be sure to subscribe, rate and review. Until next time, farewell.